Well, for more on this, I'm joined now live by the Cameroonian author and political analyst Michel Ngue-Awane. Good to see you there, Michel. Let's just start by talking about Paul Biya, who is expected to win again, is he? Or is the dynamic different this time because the opposition managed to build a coalition of sorts?
Hi, Charles. Yeah, I think this time Paul Biya is expected to win, but but for the first time in many years, we are assisting something that's closer to what we had, the situation that we have in 1992. But unlike 1992, there's no unity behind one single candidate, and that's why my analysis. I'm sure that Paul Biya will win because he's the only one who's well organized and have representation across every area, every single constituency of the country.
It's interesting that you say that, because there seem to be suggestions that technology and social media had helped to bring the opposition closer together online and inform citizens better about the need for change and about, for example, the irregularities that we're hearing are being alleged since the votes took place and counting began. But you're saying that that was not enough to make a difference.
No, I think that there is a need for change. That's true. And also the social media have changed the momentum into how people are voting and raising awareness about issues that have taken place. There's no doubt that people want a change in Cameroon. But the problem is that the strategy has not been in place for them to have that real change. If, like in 1992, if all the opposition parties have come together to form a real coalition, I'm sure that this time they will have won, and won clearly. But unlike 1992, we have 8 political parties that are battling, and each has their battleground and the area where they command majority. And the coalition that's been formed is formed not with the official opposition. We know that the official opposition is the STF in Cameroon up to now. I'm not neglecting, I'm not saying that those, or maybe Kamto with the renaissance of Cameroon has not made huge impact, but you have other people like Universe that commands certain time in a bigger city. You have Universe and you have Kamto, but they're not represented in small villages in all parts of Cameroon, and also in the diaspora. Even though they are represented in the diaspora, also the CPDM, the ruling party, is well organized, and their militant, their supporters are registered to vote. Unlike the opposition party, people are supporting them, but they're not registered to vote, and that's why the change this time is not, it's only a dream. Paul Biya, yes, will not command the majority. He will not win with 50%. He may win with 40%. But in Cameroon, the first person, or the person who commands the majority, even if it's 20%, they will win the vote. They will win the election, the overall. And that's the problem. If you count all the opposition, all the opposition party will command more than a majority, more than 50%. But there's no single member or single party within the opposition, even the coalition, that we come with the overall majority to in front of Biya. So.
Okay, so it's first past the post then, we get that bit. But what about, Michel, the restive Anglophone regions? Were people in those areas able to vote, or were they prevented from doing so by separatists who threatened those who wanted to cast their votes?
Yeah, it's clear that the vote wouldn't have taken place in all the constituencies in the separatists, or I would not call that separatists, in the Anglophone region. But even so, people have voted there. And it looked like the government tried to help people to vote, even if they were prevented from voting in their villages. They were given the possibility to vote elsewhere. But you know that there were incidents in Bamenda where 2 people were killed. And yes, people voted there, but it's not going to be the huge turnout. And in those parts, we're not expecting that the people will vote in majority like they normally do. Even in those areas, those who vote, the vote will be, the ballot will be, or the vote will be divided, because in those areas you have a Cameroon who is part of the coalition that has been formed, and you have the official opposition, which Joshua Ashi, but we also have the CPDM, which is the ruling party, that will also have share of vote there, and without counting other small parties that may get 1 or 2 there. But in all, I'm sure that yes, people did not vote in some constituencies.
And Michel, just for those not so familiar with Cameroon, I mean, tell us about the separatist insurgency in the Anglophone areas and what impact that is having on Cameroon.
Yeah, it's something that people were neglecting from the beginning, and I think that once we've already talked about this when I was in your studio last time when we discussed about this. Yeah, it's the area, but I think the people are starting to get tired about the movement, and the movement has lost a bit of momentum, even though there's still sporadic attacks there. But the separatists, we cannot say that they constitute a single united force. And there are some sort of infiltration from people who are just, we can call them a terrorist or bandit, that are using this movement to cause terror among the population. So I cannot say that. So those people are just, some of those people are armed robbers, and we know that. And they're using that to taking advantage of the disorder that has been caused in that region to terrorize the population. And the more and more people are getting tired of that. And it's about time that people come together and try to, maybe, if they're still separatists, that's time for the government and for whoever wins the election, which I'm sure in 2 weeks we know, that they come together and try to solve the problem once and for all.
And Michel, briefly, you mentioned there that you will know the result of that ballot in 2 weeks' time. I mean, why does it take so long to count?
I think that's one of the, you know that Paul Biya is an astute politician, and he organized the country and the electoral code and everything in a way that he can have the last say. And one of the things here, even if he was to come close second, and there is still a way, if he was to come close second, I'm not saying that that would be the case, there is still a way that he has the last say. For example, the law forbid people to giving the prognosis of the election, of the outcome, or communicating that without the official count and without the thing. And that's one of the things. That means when the votes are all done and counted, and there are people, the constitutional council that's been put in place by the president, they're all supporters of the president, his commander, and also they will have the last say in that. So when the elect finish counting the results, I think that maybe it will have to go through we call that moderation whatsoever. I don't know if that's the right word to call. And then that will be recounted and confirmed, and that's why they will publish. But there's no reason that they should have done that. But Cameroonians, they know the constitution, and they didn't take time to challenge that before. And I'm surprised that people are they're coming out now with the issue, why is it going to take 2 weeks? They knew that because it's published. People know the constitution, and those people that are candidates, they're astute lawyers. They should have challenged those things before the election. And also, even Cameroonian, I keep on saying that, even now, you know that Cameroonian, I've never seen a Cameroonian going out and trying to work or challenge to get an independent justice or court, an independent or maybe work against corruption. I've never seen Cameroonian going out and demonstrating against corruption in Cameroon, or maybe trying to ask that the institutional, to ask for institutional reforms in Cameroon. I've never seen that. These are things that are very important to have a real democracy in the country. But those are things that, whatever happens now, people need to be prepared, because Paul Biya is already advanced in age, and in 7, 10 years or 20 years time, I'm not sure he's going, even if he's still alive, I'm not sure that he will come back in the 7 years time. So people have to be prepared and be aware of these things and prepare for the next time. Because even if he wins now, which is likely, my thing would be for Cameroonian to be calm and prepare for after Biya, because he's not going to be there forever.
Michel Ngue-Awane, thank you very much indeed for that very comprehensive take on the political developments in Cameroon. And he's, of course, talking to us there from our perch in London. You're watching Arise News Hour. Plenty more still ahead. Stay with us.